Let's start on the ground in our all fours position. So I'm gonna start with my shoulders over my wrists and my hips over my knees. Now just take a second to get down here. Take a second to check your balance and your body weight and where you're at. Keep your eyes forward. Now what we're gonna do with the feet is going to be a mainstay through our groundwork, so let's take some time to explain. I want you to bring your big toes to touch, and then you're gonna move your heels away. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the whole foot and the ankle to go flush with the ground. So there's gonna be a little window here of space that you're gonna try to close. Now, if you can close that window, keep it closed throughout all these workouts. And you're gonna feel that by pushing your foot into the ground. So my toes are in, my heels are away, and I'm pushing the top of my foot down into the ground. Now keep your eyes forward. Now, if you notice that the window can't close, well, let's put something in there. So I'm gonna take a towel, I'm gonna roll that thing up, and I'm gonna place that in the window, but I'm gonna go through the same feelings. Toes in, heels away, and then I'm gonna push the top of the foot down into the ground, so I should feel like I'm pressurizing that towel throughout every single rep. So that's gonna be the first key that we have to keep in play. And now let's hold that feeling and let's try to challenge the range of motion that we have in our hips, knees, ankles, and lower back. So my toes are in, big toes touch, heels are away, eyes are forward, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. Let's push our feet into the ground. Let's hold that feeling. And now let's start to bend the knees and bring the back pockets closer to the heels. Now I want to work within my comfortable spot in that range. So it's a 90-degree angle that you're going to be working through. We're going to try to close that door, but we might not be able to close it in 3 seconds. It might take a few weeks. So as you are pushing back, and if you feel okay with this motion as I'm talking about it, just keep these rocks going as I'm explaining. But what I want to do is I want to notice if there's a restricted spot, and if that's showing up at any segment, it could be lower back, hip, knee, maybe the foot and the ankle. And where you find restriction, I want you to stop. So just stop and hold that spot. So I hold right there and I re-engage those cues. My eyes are forward. Are my big toes touching? Am I really pushing my feet into the ground? Do I feel like I've got that long decompressed spine? Is my back nice and flat? And then you can add a little bit of a rocking motion through the restricted range. So I'm just gonna go back and forth between the starting point of all fours, hip over knee, and the ending point, which is my back pockets to my heels. And your hands can kind of move around as you need to. But I'm gonna notice any little spots along that range that need a little tending to. And I'm gonna hang out there, I'm gonna rock through them. And once I find like I'm getting pretty clear through that movement, then I can just build a little more rhythm. And so my back pockets go to my heels and they return back. And notice how the feet never change. Big toes touch, heels away. I can't emphasize this enough. Keep pressure through the top of the foot. Keep gluing that foot into the ground. Keep your back flat. It may feel like the tail is up, but the back will flatten. The eyes are forward, and we're just gonna rock back and forth. Let's go a few more reps here. Back pockets to heels, or as far as you can comfortably. Return back to the top. And keep this cadence in your mind. Toes in, heels away. Push the foot into the ground, eyes forward. Bend the knees. Back pocket to heels. Return back up top. Now let's try this out on a single side. So I'm gonna take my hands and I'm gonna frame my thigh bone, meaning I'm gonna have one hand on the outside, one hand on the inside. We're gonna go from push-up hands into a crawling hand. So there's gonna be a little bit of a stagger. Now this is gonna bring your head into the column, so your nose should be over your kneecap. There's a bit of a Goldilocks zone here with your hands, so you can kind of micro adjust as you go. Try to keep your biceps close to the ribs before you put those hands down. We're gonna need to load some pressure into these arms, so make sure that they're in a steady position. Middle finger is straight. So my nose is over my kneecap. This side of my body that has the majority of the weight, I'm going to take the opposite leg and place it behind. So now I'm trying to build a straight line. My nose is over my kneecap and my back leg is behind my front leg. So if you're looking at the camera, you don't want to see my back leg showing itself in view. So I want to hide that back leg. And now let's go through those cues again. Toes are in, heels are away. Specifically push your front foot into the ground. Now, as you push that front foot into the ground, I want you to lift up your back knee a little bit. Now, what this is doing is it's showing you where your body weight is. So when you lift your back knee, you pour more body weight, more pressure into your front thigh bone. You should start to feel a radiation in your back pocket area. This might be working into your lower back. If you're there, you know that you're in the right spot. If you need a little more stretch, keep the knee off the ground, slide the back foot ever so gently, and bend the front knee a little bit, and that should add a little more stretch to that loaded position. So it's not just a stretch. I want to make sure I'm loading this front quad. As I'm sitting here and talking to you and you're holding this position, you should notice a pretty good burn in the back pocket, lower back area, and this is the goal of this stretch. Toes in, heels away, actively pushing in the ground, very light pressure in the back leg, so light that I can actually lift my back leg up if I needed to. And I'm bottling up all this weight into this back pocket. I'm feeling that loaded stretch. Nose is over kneecap. Hands are here, but they are very light. This thigh feels like it's doing the majority of the work. Now let's hold for 2 more counts. Hang in there. I know it's burning. 1 1,000, 2 1,000. Now let's go switch over to the other side. So come back through the all fours. Take a second to keep your big toes together, heels away. Take a second to kind of retest that child rocker range. You might notice the side you just worked feels a little bit more free, feels like it has a little more space. Now let's go create that same thing over on the other side. So same idea, I frame my hands. One's outside, one's inside. Not quite push up, more of a crawl. This should add a little bend into your spine. Nose goes over your kneecap. Now I got this weight loaded on that side, so I take the light leg and I place it right behind the loaded leg. I'm building my straight line, nose over kneecap, back leg hiding behind the front leg. Now let's re-engage the right spots. So my front foot, toes in, heels away, pressurize that ground, push it into the ground. As you push the foot down, that should help you lift the back knee. Now I notice where my weight is. It's sitting in this front leg. If I'm feeling that back pocket burning, if I'm feeling that lower back already engaged right here, you're good. You're in it. So just stay there. Hang in that stretch. If you need to add a little bit more, keep the back knee up, slide the back foot just a little bit, and add that knee bend on the front side. That should put a little more emphasis on that stretch. But remember, loading the front leg is the first requirement. So I should be able to, if I wanted to, lift my back leg. So my back knee's definitely off the ground. My back foot's just kind of a cane helping me, but I'm really working on this front side. And I'm reminding myself as I sit here, push that foot into the ground, feel that stretch. So anchor the foot, reach the hip back. Anchor the foot, reach the hip back. And there's a little bit of a turn taking place. You can feel it very subtly where your front pocket feels like it's reaching and is trying to turn and hand the contents to the person behind me. So there's a little bit of a turn, and that's all gonna lead into this back pocket, feeling that stretch. I know you're burning right now, hang in there. 2 more counts, 1 1,000, 2 1,000. Let's come back to all fours. Let that leg rest, maybe you shake that leg out. Retest that child rockers, toes in, heels are away. Okay, I push that foot into the ground. That's becoming automatic for me now. Now I'm just cueing that. I'm consistently kind of scanning my body from toes to nose to fingertips, making sure everything's just gathering. And it's not gonna be perfect this first time through, but I'm definitely gonna start to move everything along if I keep those constants in my mind. So now we're holding that child rocker position. Maybe you're kind of sitting here as I'm talking, just rocking back and forth, taking what you need. And let's add a little element to the toes here. So this is our toe tuck position. So what I want you to do is come back to all fours, and I want you to rock your weight into your shoulders a little bit. So let's free up the feet. So you should be able to free up your feet and kind of wiggle them around. And now let's move into the tips of the toes. So I put the tips of the toes on the mat. I'm gonna aim to almost roll down my toes like I'm rolling down a strip of duct tape. And as I roll down that strip of tape, I'm going to keep my heel bone nice and straight the whole time through. That's gonna kind of be my aiming point. Heel bone's nice and straight. Big toe, second toe, that inner corner of the foot should be feeling like it's getting the majority of the stretch. So if you've got that feeling in your foot right now, gently press into that. Don't overdo it because that stretch could be very intense depending on where your foot is, depending how tight your foot is. So I want you to think about one thing to start. The heel bone nice and straight. This should guide your toes over time. How far back you're pushing with these Toe tuck positions right now isn't the concern. We just want to slowly stretch those toes over time. This will be a mainstay in the program. And if I need to take a little bit of weight out, I just rock into the shoulders, rock into the hands, free up the feet for a second, let them breathe, give them a little break. Pressure's your friend here, but it can also be too much. So if you need to take pressure out, just move it around. Let's move it into our hands. Well, it's not in our feet. Now let's put it back in our feet. So we get to the tips of the toes. We roll those feet down like duct tape. We glue them to the ground. We keep the heel bone straight, and we use the leverage of the hands. So this is less of a rock. Notice child rockers, I was kind of cueing the rock. This is more of a press with your hands, load back, hold that position as we just kind of do like almost a ballistic rock, like a little bit of a rock, just trying to get a little more space in the toes. Let's hold for 2 more counts. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. And now let's flip the foot one more time, back into child rockers, toes in, heels away, press the feet. Last one here, hips over knees, bend the knees, back pocket to heels, rest and relax. That was Groundwork 101, 1 round. So if this is your first time watching this video, stop right there. That's plenty. If you're coming back and you've been adding a little bit each day, you can go for 2 rounds, 3 rounds. You can potentially do 5 rounds of this Groundwork 101. But let's build up that tolerance over time. Great start. Appreciate you guys joining us, and I'll see you on the next video.